What's up, everybody? My name is PLD, and I'm here with this guy.
With Richard Eric Jarvi. Welcome to Class Action, folks. The classiest show on the interwebs. That's what you wanted to hear.
That is what I want to hear. I like when you say it. It just makes me happy, even if I don't believe it for a second, because we're not very classy, really.
No, really, not at all.
So, and I didn't take your line this time. I almost did, but we're good.
Well, actually, I'm wearing a collar shirt today, so a bit classier.
Yes, you know what? You're right. I didn't notice that. I am not. I just don't do that.
I'm actually going to a birthday right after, so that's why.
Do I? I really should. I realize that, like, I'm on Action Industries. I have Ben Bateman, Andrew Guy. They always just have Blazers. They now just invited Brad Gilmore to become part of the Action Industries. He's always dressed to the nines, and here I am. It doesn't mean my hat, but it's my T-shirt. I'm like definitely the odd man out. So maybe I should invest in a blazer. I don't know. Maybe
we got to step our game up.
I think so. We'll see. Well, anyway, we're here on Class Action, folks. If you've seen us before, welcome back. If not, well, this is where we take two things: movies, trivia, movies, factions. I'm thinking movie trivia schmodown in my head right now. I don't know. Movie trivia,
you do
faction.
way too much, so it's
Really?
only natural.
Let's start that again. Movies, actors, franchises, things of that nature. We put them up against each other in a battle to the end. We have 5 custom-made categories we made up, and we use those categories to determine who is the winner at the end. Sometimes surprising the hell out of us, but it's a lot of fun. This week is a different week. We thought about this one a long time ago. Never really put it into motion until now. I hadn't seen the movies until this week, but I'm
very excited to hear your thoughts.
Let's just put them up there. We got Godzilla from 2014 going up against Kong Skull Island, which is a franchise in and of itself, the MonsterVerse. 3 films now so far in the franchise, 1 forthcoming. And, well, ironically enough, since we're doing Godzilla versus Kong Skull Island, the upcoming movie is Kong versus Godzilla.
Yep.
Or
that's right.
Either way, either way, but it's kind of cool. So we figured it's a nice way to. Since that's in the works, it's going to come out next year, hopefully, if everything goes right with the pandemic and world and everything else. We might as well put these up against each other and see what shakes out. I haven't seen these movies at all. I'm excited. Did you see them before? Is this a rewatch for you, Jarvi? Or?
Yeah, I think I've seen them both like 3 times at least. Yeah, once in the cinema for both of them, then 2 times at home after. Okay. So yeah, I'm like semi-familiar with them. Yeah.
Okay. I really I wanted to watch them. They were always like in my queue. Like I always wanted to watch them, and for whatever reason, I never got around to it. Sometimes this show does that well for me. It gets me to watch the movies I haven't watched yet. And I did, just to throw you off. I did watch the Godzilla King of Monsters last night as the 3rd part.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But either. But I'm still looking forward to Kong versus Godzilla. I think it still could be a lot of fun if done right. Hopefully, they just change a few things up. But either way, we'll get into that. Before we get into our categories and our games that we like to play, last week we did do something different. And we had Matty Gunner on, and we found Jiu-Jitsu, the trailer of the new Nick Cage movie that's coming out. We was like, we have to watch this online, don't we? And it revitalized the interest. I love trailers. Jarvi loves trailers. And we haven't gotten to watch anything recently because there's just been no real trailers, right?
Not really. No, we get trailers, but they're for movies that are, straight to video movies usually. Right. So that's what we've been getting. But this trailer that I asked you to pull up is from a 2019 French movie. Now, that is not a new movie, but I'm pretty sure most of the US audience is not familiar with this movie. Now, the reason why I wanted to watch this with you is because Crimson Tide. Okay. We love Crimson Tide.
We do.
Now, this is, I'm thinking how to say it. It's Crimson Tide expanded and in the near future. Now, but done in a French way. It was such an interesting watch. It's very close to Crimson Tide and what it did, but of course they don't have the star power with Denzel and why am I blanking? Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman.
Right. There's no like, back and forth wait like that, but the concept and the feel of a submarine movie, it's very much there. And I wanted to watch this trailer with you and hopefully get you excited to watch the movie, because I was not disappointed. I gave this movie a 4.5 out of 5.
Oh, so you saw the movie? You actually saw the movie?
I've seen the movie as well, and I wanted to get you familiar with this movie, at least for you to see the trailer and see how you would react.
I will let this be known that this Jarvi told me about this about 10 minutes before the show began.
Yes, I did.
So we're audibling a little bit. We're going to do it. I pulled it up. I have not seen it. So The Wolf's Call or Le Chant de Loup.
Oh, that's actually a good pronunciation.
Was it?
Le Chant de Loup.
Yeah. Oh, pretty close. All right. I'm smarter than I look. All right, let's just play it and see what happens. Okay.
It has subtitles, so.
Okay.
Sous-marin. Propulsion nucléaire. Pas américain. Pas anglais. Sous-marin nucléaire lanceur d'engin. SNLE. Avant sa dilution.
Chantrelle, vous êtes confirmé. Embarquement demain à 4h. Vous êtes l'assurance vie du pays.
Bonne chance, mon garçon.
C'est quoi la guerre acoustique? C'est dangereux.
So this is more about him, listening and trying to.
Right.
Depuis 4 ans.
Il n'y a pas de sous-marin à 4 pales.
Je sais.
Le rendez-vous avec les nageurs, là, c'est oui ou c'est non?
Le fond du loup. Il nous a détecté second.
Poste de combat, tu diffuses.
On doit récupérer les nageurs, c'est la mission.
3 flashs au sonar. J'ai toujours le chant du loup en audio.
N'y pense plus.
Je trouverai ce que c'est.
On est en niveau d'alerte 6. Grand champ. Vous passez commandant de sous-marin nucléaire lanceur d'engin.
Grand champ.
Le fleuron de la marine nationale.
Yeah.
Effroyable.
Gardez-vous.
Dorsey, vous passez commandant du Titane. Pour commencer, vous escorterez l'effroyable jusqu'à ce qu'il soit dilué dans la mer gelée.
Une attaque majeure est en cours sur le sol français.
Le président de la République me commande d'effectuer une frappe en riposte.
Nous avons été pris au piège.
J'ai passé ma vie à apprendre des gamins à respecter les procédures.
I can totally see where you're getting the Crimson Tide part from.
Right.
Yeah.
There's exactly the same thing that when a submarine has to shoot out their nuclear rockets, they have to go radio silent. No information whatsoever.
Il est là.
And what this movie does is it doesn't really give you any action, just like Crimson Tide. It gives you intensity. Sure, there's like torpedoes and stuff like that, as you saw, but there's no hand-to-hand combat. There's no firefights.
Right.
Everything happens
Intensity.
in that tent. It's the intensity, exactly.
It's that claustrophobic feel in a way. Oh, God, damn. Okay, yeah, I know. I'm intrigued. I'll have to maybe take a look at it. Maybe we'll have to bring that up. Maybe we should do a submarine movie, a bunch of submarine movies together. I mean, we already did Crimson Tide. We can throw a few of them together and see what we can come up with. Like, say, Phantom with Ed Harris. But I'll get the trailer for that at some point too. Maybe next time.
I think you've mentioned that movie before. I can't remember.
It is. It's him and David Duchovny. They're Russian. It's a Russian sub. He's a Russian sub commander. It's a similar type of thing. It's interesting. I'll get into it more later. We're getting way out of our lead now. That's sort of what we would like to do though. Weekly. Now we're talking about maybe if we do class action more, maybe we will do more trailer reactions. This is part of it, even if they're not having to do anything to do with what we're talking about, because we just like doing it. What the hell? It's our show. We can do that, right? Okay. Well, hopefully you in the audience like that as well. So let's move on with our show. We are on a little bit of a time crunch today. We do have a little time, so let's make sure we get through everything. The first thing we will always talk about in our joint, we have 2 games we like to play. The first one, what would Ed Harris play? Speaking of Ed Harris, if you don't know who Ed Harris is, you should stop watching this. Go look up his filmography and then come back.
I just thought you were gonna say just stop watching and just get out and
that too. He's my favorite actor of all time, as you know. And what we like to do with this game is we like to add him to the movie, or either by recasting or by adding a role that would fit. We'll create a role for him because he makes every movie better. Makes bad movies watchable, good movies great movies amazing. So, Jarvi, told me you have something good planned this week. I do want one thing I want to say. I don't know what you planned. We didn't get a chance to pre-talk a lot before the show began. I decided to write one character because it's a franchise in a way.
Same here. Yeah.
Okay, we did. Okay. Jeremy, I'll let you go first because you're very excited.
I hope we're not doing the same thing though.
I don't know. Maybe.
Now, well, even if we are, that'd be kind of cool. But so for Ed Harris, I'm gonna start with Kong since it's earlier in the timeline, and I would have Ed Harris as Tom Hiddleston's character.
Oh, okay.
Now,
okay.
Tom Hiddleston was supposed to be this, ex-SAS type, who's like a tracker. He's supposed to be like this hard-ass guy, but I'll be honest, Tom Hiddleston doesn't really convey that really well. Like,
right.
Sure, he has this James Bond feel about him, and it's kind of suave, but he's too much of a pretty boy for that intensity or that that dangerous aspect of him to sink in. So I would have Ed Harris as an older, gruffer ex-SAS. I want him. Has he done an English accent before? I'm sure he can, but has he?
Yeah. Yes. I want to say he did one. I have to look back. I have to look back. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think he can do one. I know he can do
Definitely, he can do one.
He's done German and Russian. I'm sure he can handle it in English.
Yeah. Yep. So I would have him as Tom Hiddleston's character, and I think that would kind of make it more interesting because I don't know, Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston. Sure, they're like that aspect of the relationship would disappear because he's like way older than her. But I kind of want that to happen because I feel like that relationship wasn't really earned. Okay. So I think Ed Harris would, and he would have like awesome face-to-face moments with Samuel L. Jackson as well.
Okay, I like that.
But now in Godzilla, we find out that Ed Harris is actually the brother of Bryan Cranston, and they both fell in love with Juliette Binoche, but Cranston got her. So when she dies, they both go on this, crusade to find out what really happened to her. And when Cranston dies, he's like, "You got to find out what happened to her." It's like, "I promise." And he takes over. Him and Aaron Taylor Johnson both get like into the squad because Ed Harris is, he's a tracker. He's done this before. He's ex-SAS, and so I think there will give an interesting dynamic for the both of them to go. And sure, Ed Harris, we would have some continuity issues with his age, though. But I'm sure we can swipe that under the rug.
We'll fudge that for now. I like where your head's at. I'll go with that. I'll watch that movie. That's good by me. All right. That's a good one. I have another one that's a little bit far out there. I'm not even sure how well it works, but I kind of want to explore it. Again, I'll start with Kong as well because it is earlier. It is a prequel, so to speak, if you want to call it that, earlier in the timeline. I'm actually taking a little bit of inspiration from two different characters, one being an Ed Harris character and one being not an Ed Harris character. After you can't tell now, I'm writing a new character in that's going to be part of the franchise and part of the franchise as a whole. Hopefully it lasts. Because if I felt like I glanced through the things, it would have been easy to make him Samuel L. Jackson in Kong. It could have been easy to put him in like that kind of role, maybe the David Strathairn role in Godzilla, the military. That's what we always go back to.
Yep.
I'm gonna go some inspiration from The Truman Show and Christof. Combine him a little bit with John Hammond from Jurassic Park.
Okay.
I'm going to have Ed Harris be like I don't know about like how much like some kind of deceptive organization, some secret organization, something. He knows about the Titans. He is like got a base on Skull Island. He has been like studying these things, and like maybe he's even been like influencing them to come back to life. Like they were going to be dead and gone for a long time, but he's been kind of bringing them back because he wants control over them. He wants. I don't know exactly what his game plan is yet. I haven't figured that out. I don't need to because it's part of this pitch. As part of this, pitch. But he wants to build the monsters up. And then, so at this point, at the end of Skull, you find them like everybody thinks it's an abandoned island. Oh my God! Instead of finding John C. Reilly with the natives there, all of a sudden hidden deep down is this like awesome big technical island. They only see it maybe briefly. They don't even get to find it too much. But he's in there, and you see him in there very briefly. And then when Godzilla comes around, he comes more to the front from Skull Island, and he actually is in control. He's been trying to, even losing control of everything, and he kind of has to go against Monarch and try to make sure, see what's going on. It's kind of like a big overseer role that he loses control, but he wants to have control. So it's this big warfare of who's going to have control, like the big monster, or fucking Ed Harris as like the king of some kind of organization, and he gets messing up. I don't know the whole details yet, but I kind of see where this is going. You see where I'm coming from with this?
I do, and yours is way more interesting than mine. I want to see that movie.
I like it. I think it's going to be fun. And I have a lot of details ironed out, but you know what? I don't have to because the movie's not going to be made. But that's my pitch for now. Get him involved. Get him in there deep. And it's a different Ed Harris character than we usually see, but that we usually pitch, I should say. But definitely we've seen he can pull off something like that. So that's what we're going to go with today.
I thought that you were going to say that when he loses control, he's going to, order the FX gas rockets to be shot at the monsters. What is X gas or what gas?
FX,
is it?
FX gas.
FX gas.
Yeah, I like that. That's pretty. That would be awesome too. All right. Well, let the guys in the chat. You can always give us your choices on who you think Ed Harris could play. Maybe write a role, or how much you can do in the comments, but pick a role or something, or at least tell us who won, me or Jarvi, because we like to see that. We're a little competitive with each other sometimes over that.
I think we both did well.
We did.
Usually when we think we do well, or one of us, it's usually the one of us who does pretty well.
Cut,
this time
right?
I feel like we both kind of put a little bit more effort in it.
I like that. Well, let's move on to our next segment. We call this segment the Public Defender. Jarvi, you got to introduce this one because this is your favorite one to introduce.
It really is. The Public Defender. Now, that is a name that we came up with when we wanted our show to be a legal pun. Now, we've kind of veered off of that, but we kind of kept the segment. Now, why the name? The Public Defender, usually in movies, they are stereotypically overworked, they are underpaid, they might have to show up in court with their briefs not prepared, and they might have to come up with things on the spot, off the cuff. So the public defender for us, now we are going to put ourselves in the shoes of a public defender. Nothing against the actual public defenders. They are hard workers. We love them. I might need one day. You maybe have already.
What are you saying?
What?
You're not wrong.
And so, yeah, we're going to put ourselves in the shoes of a public defender. And we have a special someone who's prepped a top 5 or a top 6 list for us? Or just a question this time?
Just a question this time is what okay. The only thing I've been told is just a question.
But we're not prepared for that question.
Not prepared. No, he sent it to me and I just uploaded it without looking at it. That's how I usually do it. Either live or else I just get a video. I do it that way. I will say, Jarvi, first of all, I love how nervous you get. Like you have this look in your eye when you start trying to defend better. You start getting wide eye, I don't want to talk about it. It's always, and it makes me laugh every time, so that's why I have to make you do it. I just love putting you on the spot.
I'm even more nervous for next time.
It's going to get worse and worse and worse. But little story time first. Before I introduce our public defender, my time. I've been public with this pretty much on the internet here and on some sites. I was adopted. I grew up 40 years knowing I was adopted. Never was hidden from me. It was only recently that I decided to take the plunge and start looking for my biological family to see where it came from, that kind of thing. Just after a while, you get interested, I always was interested, but for some reason, I guess maybe it's quarantine. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was kind of paradigm. I was like, you know what? It's time to just go for it, I found out that I have 2 half siblings on each side. I have a half brother and a half sister on both sides. I've been reaching out to them here and there. And this, I happened to reach, one of the first people I happened to reach was a guy by the name of Brian Bucci. And he was very open, receptive to learning about me. He was a little shocked about it. He did not know I existed. So it's definitely one of those moments. But it was very good to talk. And it's kind of funny how we talked. We started talking and we learned really quickly that he was a big movie buff. I'm like, there you go. He liked Jack Daniels.
It's definitely your brother.
Everything about it seemed like it was my brother. I'm like, this guy's my brother. Okay. And I decided he's never done anything like this before. He's not a streamer or anything like that. But I talked to him quite a bit. And because we're doing this particular subject, I learned that, like me and Ed Harris, or me and Star Wars, for example, is big kind of like things I get obsessively watched and everything else. Godzilla is that to him. He grew up with Godzilla. Like, he watched Godzilla on TV. And he got obsessed with it when he was younger. He's watched all the movies. He gets like collects some of the items and everything else. He always talks. He wants to sit me down and watch like all like 30 or whatever Godzilla films from all over the age. He wants to get involved. So, all of the nitpicky secrets and Easter eggs that I definitely missed, because I guess there's a lot of them in Godzilla King of the Monsters that I don't even know about. So I'll have to watch it again at some point. But without further ado, I'm going to go too. I don't want to ramble too much. I got him to ask us, the public defender. This is our first time. So welcome to Class Action, at least on a video. And introducing yourself to our audience here. Brian Bucci, my brother, is going to ask us, our public defender. Without further ado, I have it loaded up. And here we go.
Hey, Paul and Jarvi, thanks for having me on. Paul, as you're aware, I'm a massive Godzilla fan, so I appreciate you having me on today. My question for you guys is, as a Godzilla fan, always believe there can be more Godzilla. So if it was up to you, what movie would you add Godzilla to?
Ooh, okay, so you didn't hear that, I guess.
I didn't hear that. Yeah.
All right, it must be your setup. That happened before that one time. All right, well, the question was, and I'll read it out to you. I mean, not read it, I'll just tell you. He says he's a big Godzilla fan, and he wants to know what movie. He says he's always like me with Ed Harris. More Godzilla is better. What movie would you add Godzilla to?
Oh, wow.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that thing. Wow. That's a big question to ask. What movie would you add Godzilla to? He's not a character he's not something you could add to a movie very easily. I mean, I kind of like the idea of just adding something like really ridiculous, like a rom-com or something. Just Friends or Ghost of Girlfriend's Past. There's Godzilla. Let me think about that. I don't know if it's kind of interesting to see. I mean, you could go. I mean, they might in your instinct.
I'm gonna go very wacky.
Go ahead.
I
love it.
And hear me out, because this is gonna sound ridiculous when I first say it, but I'll explain it. I'm gonna say.
I can't hear you all of a sudden, Jarvis. Now
you can't hear me.
Oh, you're good now. You hear your mic.
Okay. Interesting. Exactly at this moment that I said the movie's name.
Yeah.
And I actually messed up the movie's name. I wanted to say The Nice Guys. And it's at that moment where Ryan Gosling falls asleep at the wheel and he sees the big insect. But instead of that, it's like Godzilla just like just tearing up the city and doing the shriek. The shriek.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome. All right. I'm going to do something. I don't know. I think I like it. I'm going to add a different franchise to this. Because, this franchise has been going on for a while. We're going to make Jurassic Titans.
Okay. I thought you were going to say the Fast and the Furious.
Fast and the Furious got something funny too. But Jurassic, we've had the Jurassic Park series, we had the Jurassic World trilogy. They've been trying to find something that could fight the T-Rex and everything else, or they're getting bigger and better. What the fuck's bigger than Godzilla, right? So finally at the end, they recreate Godzilla, and because the dinosaurs are running wild, so they need some way to beat all the dinosaurs. So they create Godzilla, and Godzilla comes in to wreak havoc on the dinosaur left. Now, how they're going to get rid of Godzilla after that's over, I don't know, but that's not my call. We're going to put it there and see what they do. So, all right. That was a fun one. I kind of like that.
I do as well.
So
that was kind of different, but it's an interesting question. Yours definitely makes more sense. I just wanted to go with the wacky chase.
Oh, good. That was great, actually. I like that. So thank you, Brian. I know you asked what time it's going to be on.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
He has watched a few of our shows. So thank you. And hopefully you'll come back and do that again at some point. But without further ado, let's move on now. We will go on to our categories. Before we do the categories, we always have the snap judgment. This is where we take a look at the two movies or two items we're comparing, and what's our gut instinct say before we get into the categories. Because as we know, the categories can sometimes change our minds, and also at the end of the day, we're totally wrong on our initial thoughts. I have a big instinct on this one, though. That I kind of feel this one's not going to go wrong, and we'll find out. My snap judgment tells me that Godzilla wins this.
Same here. Yeah. At first, I thought actually Kong could take this, because when I broke down it into categories, the the overall feel of the movie isn't that important. I don't know, because that's what the categories do sometimes. So I'll just say, because if I had to rate I would rate Godzilla 1 star higher than Kong. But what the categories do, I almost said Kong, but I'm still gonna say Godzilla.
Yeah, I actually likewise did get ranked Godzilla higher. I ranked it 4 out of 5 stars. I ranked Kong 3 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
And just for reference, I ranked Godzilla King of the Monsters at like 2.5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I get that.
Maybe 2, but we'll get back to that. Again, we'll get to that later on. All right, let's get into the categories at hand. We had 5 categories we came up with. First one, better monster. We can also add the other monsters if you'd like, because they all have extra additional monsters in there. Second, better human characters, because you can't have a monster movie without some humanity in it. Well, you could, but not in this kind of not this way, not these kind of movies. 3, better build to the climax, because both these movies kind of have a beginning to kind of the slow burn, not even necessarily slow burn, but it is kind of a slow burn up into that final battle of Big S sequence where all hell breaks loose, to
get us excited for the monster,
right,
and the action.
4, better visual effects, and 5, better lore or better mythology. Basically, I didn't realize there was a lot of mythology behind Godzilla until I watched Godzilla. Like, I just kind of was like, okay, big monster comes up, but I guess I should have thought about it, but it just seemed like I always thought it was like this. They didn't really care about it. And same with Kong. Like, Kong didn't have any backstory; he's just this big giant ape, right? But they did add this great mythology and lore to it. I'm kind of curious what we think on which one did it better, because that, especially considering they're connected now as a franchise where they hadn't been before. So they had to make a way to do it. So without further ado, let's get right into it here. Start with the first one, better monsters. Do you want to go first? You want to lead us? Or you want me to lead it?
You can go first.
Okay. Both the main monsters are awesome. I'll definitely go with that. Both the main monsters are awesome. Kong is very much. They're both very similarly to what they're similarly designed to what they've done before. I mean, they're obviously different things to make them unique. I gotta say, Godzilla is more powerful and exciting to me, because I mean, there's just so much more that he can do, and he's so big and so powerful. And Kong's no small fry, but I mean, in comparison to Godzilla, it kind of seems like he's a little weaker. I'm almost kind of curious to see how Godzilla and Kong are going to fight in a way, because Godzilla is so much more mega and super powerful than.
But he's slower though. Godzilla is way slower. Like Kong, he can like get around him, do some UFC moves.
Maybe a little wrestling RKO out of nowhere kind of thing. It's possible. But I feel like Kong does win me over in some degree, because he definitely has more of the humanity that Kong tends to have.
Exactly.
Because Godzilla is basically a big giant lizard, not much they can do with that as far as interaction with humans go. So while my initial gut tells me I like Godzilla better, I think I'm going to stick with my gut still. It's something about Godzilla. What I would like about Godzilla the best, as far as this goes, is that even though they show the humanity in Kong's face sometimes, his interaction with Brie Larson and things like that, I was surprised, and this is going to maybe get into the lore aspect of it. I was surprised at how much I didn't realize how much he was a protector of humanity, so to speak, in a way. And that made me really like this character. I want to learn more about the lore and the mythology. I'm going to go Godzilla. I was surprised by that, because like before the beginning, I was going to go Kong, but I think I do want to go Godzilla more.
I think I understand why you're doing it. It's like you said, Kong is he's like a big ape. He's pretty much we know apes. We're familiar with them. They are very human-like, and they have way more emotions. And Godzilla is this mythical dinosaur sort of monster. You could even call him an alien-like monster. Well, they are from Earth, according to the lore, but it definitely feels like an alien life form, right?
Right.
So that in that sense, he's more interesting. But I was thoroughly surprised how Godzilla was introduced in Godzilla, and how they made him out to be the good guy, like you said, the protector of Earth. Because I was familiar with the Roland Emmerich Godzilla, like where that is the movie that I grew up on. I know that is not a great movie, but I had my fun with it. And Godzilla felt like correct me if he's the bad guy in that movie, right?
I gotta be honest with you. I have never seen any Godzilla movie, and I think I did see that movie a little bit, but I think I was a little worse for wear when I saw the movie, so I don't remember a whole lot of it, to be honest with you. So
I'm pretty sure he's the bad guy in there.
Okay.
And, I'm calling it a he. I don't know why. I'm not sure. Maybe it or.
Don't want to assume it's as gender.
So.
I don't know.
So anyway, I lost my track of thought. Yeah, so I was surprised, and I like the fact that they turned him into a good guy.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the same thing as always been or not. Like back in the day, I really don't know that. So I'm sure Brian will tell me.
But it was like when I thought when the new Godzilla movie, the 2014 movie came out, I was pretty sure that Godzilla was going to be the bad guy, and he wasn't. And when we're talking about Kong, he's like he didn't surprise me as a character because we've seen the Peter Jackson version, right? Because like we connect with the character and we feel for the character, and that is like I think that is a very big plus for Kong is the fact that we feel so much for him, but it made me feel a little too worried for him. Now I have tough times in movies when I get to see animals get hurt. And with Kong, I was so worried, and it made me feel so anxious. And when Kong goes down, when he fights the skull crawlers, it almost feels like you were watching a pet die or something. Because you feel his emotions, you feel for him. Now with Godzilla, he's like you say, we're more detached from him. He feels more indestructible. So when he goes down, sure, I felt very sorry for him because he was like built up to be the Titan protector of Earth. But I never got too worried for him, and I liked that about him. They gave him heart, but just enough heart that when he goes down and gets hurt, I'm just like, oh, he gets back up. Like it's like watching a fight, like a boxing fight. You're not really that worried for them. You just want to see a good show. So for that reason, I'm going with Godzilla as well.
Okay.
Even though Kong is a more complex character.
Yeah,
I'm too anxious to watch him get hurt,
I get that away. Okay. Very interesting, though. Interesting how it's going to affect us. All right. Let's move on to category number 2, the human characters.
Oh, no.
Humanity. Yes. Well, this is best of the worst, I guess, kind of thing in a way.
Actually, I'll take the lead on this. And I say, oh, no, but the matter of fact is Godzilla's characters take themselves way more seriously than in Kong. And they aren't that over the top and cartoonish. Kong has some outlandish characters. Now, the soldiers, in my opinion, except for Cable and Samuel L. Jackson, they are just so bland and ridiculous. Their lines are so horribly written. Like everything they say feels like I don't know what movie. Like I know what movie they're in, but it feels like every line is a cliche out of a war movie. And I get that. I'm all aboard with making Kong a little more of a ridiculous type movie.
Right.
But there's also, I wrote one line down, is when they first get attacked by Kong, and one of the soldiers says, "It's like, we were just taken down by a monkey the size of a building." The other guy says, "Yeah, that really was an unconventional encounter." What? Who talks like that? And it's not in a funny way. He says it like with a totally serious face.
Right.
I was like, wow. And and I get that the soldiers were not supposed to be that invested in them. We're supposed to care for Hiddleston and Brie Larson because they're built up to be the leads, but they sort of feel insert your good-looking white actor here, and they like do their job, but there's no real weight to them. Like Larson has a bit more of a like character around her. I feel like Hiddleston is like this kind of like a perfect guy we've seen that guy in every movie. There's no real emotional depth or anything about him. Now, I will say Kong has the best character out of both of these movies, and that is John C. Reilly. Now, he works as this clownish character. He's dumb and he's funny, but he has trauma about him as well. And it kind of spices his, wacky humor. I like how they tied in his buddy who he was enemies with. Like, I can't remember the name, the sword that he takes and everything. And at the very end, when he gets home to his family, and sort of his character worked and fit the ridiculousness of the movie, but the other characters were just way into that one camp, way too ridiculous or way too bland. But Godzilla, I feel like Cranston was way too good for this movie. He was like, I know a lot of people don't like the Bryan Cranston storyline and how they built that up, but I was very emotionally invested. Mm-hmm. And I think Cranston, Elizabeth Olsen, and Aaron Taylor-Johnson, the big three, really works in this one. I felt for them. They take themselves very seriously, and that's one of the best things that I like about Godzilla, is how seriously it takes itself. And I really cared for these characters when they, when Aaron Taylor-Johnson loses his father, when he gets reunited with Olsen, everything, there's weight there, there's emotion there, and I really felt for them. So this is easily Godzilla for me.
Okay.
With an asterisk that John C. Reilly is the best of the two.
Unsurprisingly, I'm actually feeling the same way as you. Like, John C. Reilly was the best part of Comics. And I was not a fan of Hiddleston at all, honestly. And I like Hiddleston, but it just
I do as well.
The role, it seemed way too, like you said before, kind of way too nice, way too bland. I just didn't I just didn't care. And like, one of the problems I have with the movie in a whole is that there was no real protagonist to speak of. There's nobody you can get behind. It's all like, it's sometimes Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson. I think that's the one they want you to think is the protagonist. But I felt like their storyline was nothing, and I didn't believe in their little fling at all. And it wasn't like that they were just boring. It just bored me.
It wasn't earned at all.
Nothing about it was earned. I didn't like anything about it. I just didn't believe it at all. John Goodman was fine. I like John Goodman always, and he was pretty good.
He was.
But I thought he might have been the protagonist for a while, but then he gets like chewed up. I'm like, okay, as he's gone. Samuel L. Jackson's obviously the antagonist at that point. I did like what they did. I did like what they did with Samuel L. Jackson in terms of it. Like, they gave him a little bit of a mini, I don't want to storyline, a mini motivation as the guy that just can't stand that the U.S. lost the war. Yeah, and you could tell, right? He's like, I didn't lose the war. We abandoned it. Yeah. Right. And he has the whole thing. It's like he's basically turning his anger against losing the war against Kong. Not just because, I mean, Kong killed his soldiers too, but mostly like it's that internal, like, I can't lose. I have to win. I have to do something to win.
He wanted the fight. When he gets the call from the general, he goes like, "And sir, thank you." Like,
yeah. Right, exactly. He's like, he doesn't want to lose. He doesn't want to leave. He feels like a loser, and he wants to win. So he did well with that, I thought. But still, at the end of the day, Bryan Cranston kicked ass. Bryan Cranston was phenomenal in this movie. And Julia Binoche is actually, in that small scene she had, phenomenal. I mean, I remember there's actually an anecdote Brian told me about it, and I actually read it elsewhere. It's the only blockbuster that Quentin Tarantino actually cried at. He said he cried at the beginning part.
Really?
That's how emotionally he got invested when that happened. And I agree. I was very emotionally invested. I'm not as sold as you were on Aaron Taylor-Johnson. We kind of had a little bit of talk about that. Or actually, Brian and I had to talk about that. He kind of he was able to believe because it had to do with the military, and he was trying to be stoic about being in the military, and maybe that's why he kind of felt. I kind of felt he was almost like a little too blank slate for me at times. He had some emotion, but it just he didn't pull me in. Elizabeth Olsen, his girl or his wife, or I don't remember the wife or fiance, whatever.
I think it's wife.
She was great. Yeah, she was great, and she was like, because she wasn't the typical. I wish she had more to do, but she just wasn't the typical. She did the most. She got the most out of her smaller role. She didn't at all push for it too much. She got usually getting that hysterical, like they're caught in that. I just got away from my husband or not. She was like a strong character for a child, and she earned that celebratory reuniting.
Yeah, exactly.
That. But
she really sold that.
Yeah, she sold it very well. And Cranston, though. Cranston was way too good in the movie. I wish he didn't die early. I understand why he had to die, because it was part of it was the motivation to get Aaron Taylor-Johnson in there. But honestly speaking, I would have rather seen Aaron Taylor-Johnson gone and have Cranston there the whole movie, like doing it for his wife. I mean, just
same here. Yeah. For both these movies, I feel like they kill characters who are very well written and really interesting characters. They did that with Cranston, and they did that with Toby Kebbell, like who they killed in such a ridiculous manner. He was like, you thought like he was the one who's gonna like the most interesting soldier. He's the good, like he has like okay lines, and he actually has like a son, like Dear Billy.
Yep.
They do all that stuff, and then just like he's like they just kill, like just splatter. Like what's happened?
And like sometimes I think sometimes they do that kind of stuff. I saw it someday to get this like, oh God, anybody can die. I felt like that's what Kong Skull Island did a lot of. It's kind of like, I want you
Very
to
much
feel
so.
that anybody could die at any time. And so, but by doing it, it backfires. That's why you got rid of Goodman. Goodman was somebody who could have carried the rest of the movie in a way. He could have done more. But Toby Kebbell, same thing. It was kind of like, oh, well. And which is what it led back to, the whole, I don't know who I'm rooting for. So, I mean, it struck that way. So long story short, I'm giving it to Godzilla as well, because this was a Cranston and Elizabeth Olsen. We put them both together. Anything else that they do, I mean, John C. Reilly can't hold it all in his back. So, but he does try. He does try really hard. He's very funny, very engaging. So, all right, let's move on. There, we're got about 20 minutes left here. We got to do the better build to the climax. Godzilla Kong. Now, this was a very interesting point of both movies, and I mentioned this when I was talking to Brian. I think
you did
to you as well. Yeah. There's complaints. I remember reading complaints about Godzilla. It's kind of funny watching these movies like years after the fact, after you read some reviews, you hear the chattering about it. One of the main complaints I heard about Godzilla was that they're so upset that they didn't get to see Godzilla in like the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever. It was a big tease and everything else. And so when you call it Godzilla, you got to see Godzilla. Bullshit is what I said that. Because it seems like Kong, Skull Island, decided to try to do that differently. And then within the first 5 minutes, you see Kong as
you see in the first minute, pretty much.
The first minute when John C. Reilly is there, as a young character doing that, and then you see him throughout most of the movie. Most of the movie has action-packed sequences with him. They have some pauses in the middle, but it's all about like, oh, I got to see more Kong. I want to see more Kong. It's almost like they took those fan criticisms to heart, and to them, I say, shame on you. Because there's one movie
they probably knew how weak their human characters are, so just insert more Kong.
That could be it too. Maybe if that's the case, then I kind of understand it, to be honest with you. There's a little movie that you might know by a guy named Steven Spielberg called Jaws.
Yeah, I have the same thing written down as a note. I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah,
I have the same point.
You don't show the monster. No. You wait, and because your imagination is going to do far more than any kind of visual effects or anything can do. And you want to build to that anyway. So when you do see it, it's like this big clash. Oh, there he is. Holy shit, that's Godzilla. And you get it for a good battle. Then it's not like it's a good solid battle. You get to see him finally. And there's hints of him throughout. You see him beneath the waves. You see a foot here and there.
You see the door closing, like you kind of see his face.
It's brilliantly done. It's good filmmaking. You hint, you show, you tease, and then you bring it out. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm giving it to Godzilla again for that rare reason. Now, I did like Kong did the reveal early, but still was able to build towards a little bit of suspense at the time. Because especially the suspense was more involving Samuel L. Jackson's character when he kind of says, "Oh, I'm not going to leave him behind. I'm not leaving Chapman behind," or whoever, it's Chapman.
Yeah, it's Chapman.
I'm not leaving Chapman behind. And you realize later on, he's like, he's not care about Chapman. He's going to get the explosive.
He wants the guns.
And there is a good build to that moment at the end, especially when Samuel L. Jackson blows him up. The big fire is there. He's watched him in the fire. And then Kong still comes out with the fire. You're like, you're fucking done now, pal. There is a good build to that throughout the thing. It's a little touch and go. But I can't compare it to the slow burn build of the monsters being revealed, Godzilla being revealed, cities being destroyed slowly. They're making their way back to where his wife is in San Francisco. It can't match that. And then part of the problem is that Godzilla happened because they're trying to do a similar formula with a different monster away. But it's not. You already have the bag's already open. You know what I mean? The bottle's already, the cat's already out of the bag. So I go with Godzilla.
Yeah, you said pretty much everything that I wanted to say. The Jaws reference is key here. I've heard the same thing that you said, that there's been a lot of criticism that you don't get to see the monster that much. But again, that's exactly like you said. That's great filmmaking. And when we fully see Godzilla and he gives this shriek, and when he, his spikes light up and he like shoots, well, it's not fire, it's what he shoots out of his mouth. I'm pretty sure there's a term for that.
Sure there is. Brian, if you're in the chat, you can tell me.
Yeah. And that it feels earned and it feels special. Now, like you said, Kong tries to do a different thing, and I respect them for that they don't really show Kong, but they show just his face and his eyes, so we get we get his scale, we get his size, because that is a Kong. Kong has never been this big.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure the reason for that is because they planned for Kong to take on Godzilla, and we got to make him bigger. And they even say, they say in Kong Skull Island that Kong's still growing, which is that is a very exciting thing, that Kong's still growing. So when we get to Kong versus Godzilla, he could be almost as big as Godzilla himself. So, but I do agree that Kong didn't feel as special when we get to see him. Now, when he fights and the action sequences, they really are the best parts of the movie, and that's exactly why we're there. But there's no big reveal moment. There's no excitement for when we see him. It's like cool to see what he can do, but when we see him fully, it's like there's nothing really special about him. And I think that also ties into what I said before, that we've seen apes, we've seen monkeys before. He's just a magnified version of that. As with Godzilla, he is a little bit reimagined, and he's not an actual animal. Like, we've never seen one before.
Right.
So, yeah, absolutely, this one is Godzilla easily.
All right, there you go. That. Next up is visual effects. One as well. You want to take this one?
Sure. Yeah. At first glance, I want to give this to Godzilla as well, because I really do like the Pacific Rim approach that they take. There's a lot of nighttime. There's like everything. The monsters, they look more mythical, and they're not overshown to us, like I said. But when I think about the design and the look of Kong and the Skull Island, the jungle and everything, that it's I started to notice how well shot it is and how well edited it is. It feels like a music video at times. There's a lot of references to Forrest Gump in there. Like when the music comes on and they're taking the choppers. And I kind of like the overlit manner of how they did Kong. And I think I'm going to give this to Kong because of that, because we get to see all the moves and we understand everything that Kong does against the skull crawlers, as with Godzilla and what are they called? The creatures that is fighting, the Mutos. I do like the fact that we're not shown too much, but it kind of makes the fights a little less coherent, and it's tougher to really see what the moves are.
Right.
So with Kong, it's we get to see everything in it the way it's meant to be seen, and I gotta because I feel like the visuals and the look is some of the best in Kong Skull Island.
All right, so we go with Kong's first knock to the board. Kong is on the board. On the board, ladies and gentlemen. This one I'm torn. I go back and forth on a couple different things. I'll tell you why. Godzilla, I agree with you on Godzilla as far as the lighting goes. I like the darkness of it. I mean, although it sometimes makes it hard to see on the TV. I'm sure, like Brian was actually saying that in the movie theater was actually better to see, easier to see. I'm sure that's true.
Yeah.
But the light is smart. You use the darkness to hide for the exact reason, just like Jaws. You hide the monster. You don't show it. And I like how they use that. When they do get the reveal, it's a big reveal, and it's well designed. The weird thing about Godzilla's design for me, and I think I have a gut instinct that this is a nod to the past and everything else, is that the other Mutos just seemed almost like designed like they look like mechanical, like they were robots. Like it almost seemed like sometimes there's like the leg notions where it almost looked like it was purposely done. So I kind of feel like it was like a nod to previous Godzilla movies. I'm not sure about that. It did take me out a little bit, kind of like are these living things or these creations? I'm
not sure if that's meant to be that way.
I don't know if it is or not. Maybe it's just me. I got that instinct every once in a while. But turning over to Kong is very colorful, and I like that about it. I do like the very vibrant, colorful place. Although it does work, again, the negative side of that is it does work to its detriment sometimes, because sometimes it felt a little cartoonish. a little bit.
It is. It is.
CGI is not always the best, and I know
Except for Kong, right?
Kong's great.
Yeah.
Kong overall is
Everything
great.
else, I felt the same thing. Yeah.
I those kind of seem a little rough. It's almost like they put all their money and energy into Kong, and like everything else, kind of like, I mean, everybody looking at Kong anyway. I kind of think it's like kind of thinking up. So it's hard for me to tell which one I like better. I think I'm going to lean towards Godzilla because I do think the design of some of the other Mutos were more supposed to be that way, but I'm not sure. No, you know what? I'm gonna talk myself out of it. I think I do. The very big vibrancy of the whole Kong Skull Island does work for me.
Right.
It's a very good contrast as far as you get to see everything more up close, personal. The fire in there was great. The fire sequence in there, when it's Samuel Jackson's eye. I think I will. I'll change my mind. I'm going to go with Kong as well. Although it is close, they both have a lot of pros and cons to them both. So I'll take them both.
Yeah, the scene in the graveyard, pretty much, like where there's like the gas is there and everything. I really like the way that's shot.
Yeah, that is really damn good, I gotta admit. Okay, let's get into the final category, the lore of the background, the mythology, the lore of these. Is this me or you? This is me, huh? Okay, this is me. Again, I didn't know that there was this much lore behind Godzilla. I don't know if there is this much lore. I don't know if this is something that was created for the movie or not. I don't know these things. That's why I haven't done my homework. I will eventually. Brian's going to make me watch a big marathon with him at some point. So I'm hoping to find out. But I liked the lore that was created. I love, like I said, I loved him being the Titans have been there forever. The Titans were there. They're the first gods in a way, and that there's the evil ones, and then there's the ones that were born to help protect humanity. I like how that worked.
The balance.
The balance, exactly, just like the Force, right? The balance of the Force. Whereas Kong took that lore, added a little bit to it, but in a way confused it a little bit to me as well. Like, why is Kong still around compared to the other ones? That's what I don't know. Like, what's the relationship? I don't quite know what the relationship is. But it added some more cool things to the layers. Like Kong Skull Island itself had some great mythology. That Kong was there basically to keep the rest of the predators there under control. But how did that happen? Why did it happen? And maybe we don't need to know that. But did confuse me a little bit. Not confused, the wrong word, but left me kind of like, I don't know. I want to know more about that. Tell me why. I did like at the end of Kong. I know it's just kind of like an MCU trick where they kind of like they show you the cave paintings of the different like Godzilla monsters. You hear when it goes to black, you hear the Godzilla roar. You know it's coming, kind of thing. But overall, Godzilla did a great job of introducing the lore, not giving you too much, but giving you enough. Gives you enough to be intrigued, not but you're not too confused by it. You want to know more, but you're kind of like satisfied with what it does for that story that it's giving you. Kong, I didn't feel as satisfied with, so I'm gonna go with Godzilla.
Yeah, it's because I feel like Kong doesn't really have that mythology around it, and Godzilla really, like you said it, Godzilla has that mythology and even more. We definitely, that the strongest part of Godzilla King of Monsters was how many monsters they brought in and how they sort of gave that, like how they built the lore. So regardless of what you think of the movie, that was like some of the coolest things, and how they brought all these monsters in there. So Kong has an uphill battle because there's not much about him, but they do give it a go, and I very much like the balance of it, and how Kong's there to protect humanity or whoever's there, the balance of nature. But I don't think that it fits into the Godzilla lore. Like you said, like why is Kong still there? Like why are these like skull crawlers there when these Mutos are actually all sleeping and they get woken up and stuff like that? So I get that they have to build a franchise together, so we're not really supposed to focus on that too much. But Godzilla feels like it has a very rich backstory, and it does. And when the movie starts as well, like the bombings, everything, like when they tested the nuclear bombs, they were actually trying to kill it. Everything, how they show these, like I think there's like cave drawings as well of the big monsters or something like that. It makes you feel like there's something there, and like the fact that the Earth actually belongs to them and not us. That is a really interesting idea what they put out there.
I agree.
So this is all Kong. Well, I'm sorry, Godzilla.
All right. Well, guess what, guys? Hate to say it, but we told you so. Our judgment was correct this time, and it wasn't even close. I kind of wish I had like we did this movie that we chose these movies before. I hadn't seen either of them. I kind of was hoping it'd be a little bit closer in my eyes, but it wasn't, and it's okay. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it just is what it is.
Exactly, and they're both fun watches. Like I enjoy my time when I'm watching Kong, but Godzilla feels like it's like an actual, like a great movie. Kong, it just feels like, okay, I can forgive some stuff here because it's like cool action.
It's a popcorn movie.
Exactly.
And Godzilla's a blockbuster, but it's actually kind of a thinking man blockbuster.
It is.
A lot more to it than a lot of the normal blockbusters have. Gareth Edwards is a great director. I think Gareth Edwards. I would like to see more about Gareth Edwards. I do want to go back and see his debut, which was Monsters. What got him Godzilla in the first place.
I haven't seen that either.
I haven't seen that as well. I mean, I loved Rogue One. I think Gareth Edwards directed. So interested to see where he's going. But in this case, he whooped Kong's ass. It's a 8-2. That's it. So Godzilla is the winner by far here. Now, I think I will say right now that my other snap judgment would be that Kong Skull Island would beat Godzilla King of the Monsters for me. But that's something else we'll have to talk about later on, I think.
I kind of want to watch King of Monsters now as well. I didn't get the chance to.
It was fine. But it just seemed like it took all the bad things about any negatives from Godzilla and like amplified them basically. And the human character, the whole human side of it was just junk. It was like nothing. To me, it was like there was no story behind them. Like they were all like a lot of it didn't even make sense. It was kind of just like we're throwing this stuff up against the wall, and it's very unfortunate because like it's got some great performers. Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, Mike Brown. They're all good. They're all solid performers, but I just didn't give a fuck about them.
Nope, they were just like extras for the monsters.
Yeah, it was all action all the time. That's what it was. Either way, I don't know. We're getting off into a tangent now, but that's it. 8-2 here. So Jarvi, we gotta go. I know we're wrapping up quickly. I'll have a quick wrap up here. Jarvi, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Richard Eric with a K Jarvi. And for Estonian viewers, you can watch my movie review show called The Film Guru.
All right. You can find me at Paul_Deduzio on Twitter. Find me on Action Industries YouTube channel. I produce for Ben, Andrew, and Brad Gilmore, now the newest action guy as well. Also find me in the Call to Action podcast. I do weekly shows on the Movie Trivia Schwinner. Go check that out. I also am on SCN Live. Wow. I'm on the SCN Network. That's totally everything. On the SCN Network, though, I do produce for Brad Gilmore and Jen Sturger's show coming up next, which is a lot of fun. It's a really fun show. And so please check that out. We want to make sure we succeed on there. And finally, I have PLD Projects, which I've been doing my watch review. I'm going to get to it eventually. Sometime I'll do the Harrisons. But right now, you can find me a lot of times doing late night shows after Call to Action stuff, where I do these tier lists. We did a horror movie one the other day. I think I might be doing one tonight, doing live action Marvel films, maybe with some of the generals. I think I'm going to call the show Generally Speaking. That's what I like. So I'll go with that for now, unless I name it something else later on. But we're kind of impromptu fun stuff. But that's all for us today. I want to thank Ben Bateman and Andrew Guy for giving us this little slice, this little home on the YouTubes for us. Thank you in the chat. Subscribe to the channel. You can let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to see. Leave us a comment. That really helps. We really appreciate all the viewers we have. And I don't know what we're going to do next week. We haven't really discussed that yet, so we'll let you know as soon as we do. But for now, I'm going to say it again this time, as we do always. Justice is served and court is adjourned.